Castillo is the guy that I think is the odd man out. When you look at 5 elite starters, are all young with a big future. Luis has been tremendous here, having a decent year, but not a great year. He's got a big contract. I'm not so sure he's the guy that goes out and gets you the power arm in the bullpen or the right-handed bat. It could be a somewhat different deal to get Luis out of here if that's going to be the case. It's going to be a different type of deal for the Mariners to get that bat or that arm, and they're going to have to wait because the American League is so bunched up. Not sure who the buyers and sellers are at this point, so the Mariners and the fan base are going to have to be patient.
Well, the Mariners open the second half of the season tomorrow night against the Giants. The M's are a game and a half out of first behind the Texas Rangers. 13-year major leaguer Bill Kruger right there talking about things, looking ahead to this team, the trade deadline coming up August 3rd. There are some who think the Mariners will make a move, and Bill knows the Mariners need a reliever, and they need some hitting, but he's not sure who goes or even if the Mariners will make a move. So it'll be interesting to see where this team goes. We kind of go back and forth in this thing, Ariel. I just don't think there's a whole lot of depth out there in the pool to go after and get somebody.
Well, what's super interesting is I was listening to Jerry DiPoto talk on the radio, and he said that yes, there's a lack of players to get out there, but there's also just barely anyone that is out of a playoff contention or 4 games out of playoff contention. So there's not a whole lot of traditional sellers. Instead, he anticipates that it's going to have to be a lot of buyer-to-buyer kinds of trades. So you might not get exactly the type of package back that you're hoping for. But I do still think they're going to try to dangle Luis Castillo in case there's anybody, even a buyer out there, that needs a solid arm.
Yeah. Selfishly, I would love Castillo to take the challenge of going to the pen and come out as a reliever. Because
I would love that too.
Can you imagine? I just think that fans, when he walked onto the field for the first time to walk out to that mound, I think fans at T-Mobile Park would go crazy.
I mean, are you kidding me? Like, we're looking for a right-handed relief pitcher. Like, does it get much better than Luis Castillo? Like, that would be incredible to have him out there for that role. But I think back to the piggyback situation. I think back to The Rock usually being so steady, and he was not happy and very verbally not happy about that whole situation. I can't imagine he goes to the pen, but I do think that if we're talking about what's best for the team, that's it.
I know. It doesn't change the paycheck, Luis. It doesn't change the paycheck. Yeah. They're still going to pay you a ton of money to come out of the pen and be a reliever that these guys really need at this point.
I mean, heck, I've had a jersey of closing pitchers before, so it's not like a relief pitcher is a designation or anything like that. Like you're a main part of this team. You're a big part of this team.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. Again, it's kind of an indecision thing, but let's talk about the stats in the Mariners. You take a look at some of the numbers that this team is putting out there. There are some issues for sure, but when you look at this Mariners team for the second half, you hope that they not only get healthy, but they stay healthy. And they also need some of their stars to play to their capability. Cal Raleigh has been in the crosshairs of the critics most of the season. Bill Kruger sees a couple of reasons for Cal's struggles.
I think he's pressing. I mean, I think he was hurt probably the whole time. He probably got hurt sometime in the WBC or even before that and tried to play through it because he's a tough guy. You show up, you play. We already know he played with a torn thumb ligament. The guy plays through anything, and he just couldn't play through it anymore. He stopped. He took a break. I don't know if he's 100% now. Who knows? Maybe a little breather here helps, but he's got to get on time. He's got to, not necessarily find the 60 home run hitter, but get back to getting a good ball to hit, like Ted Williams used to say. Be a little bit more patient. Try to stay up the middle of the field a little bit more, and just be an RBI guy.
Well, I'm saying all the right things there, and you look at some of the numbers and the numbers going into the second half of the season. The Rangers on top of the AL West. Mariners sitting there in a game and a half. Keep an eye on the Houston Astros as they get healthy. I think they're going to get dangerous as well. Wild card standings, what the heck? Let's throw them out there. It's the All-Star break. You look at the wild card standings. You see this team. Days ago the Mariners were tied with the Twins for the 6th and final spot. Right now, they're just sitting out there. Again, just kind of interested to see some of the names in the mix. But, Ariel, as we talked about, there's a lot of buyers out there in this American League where, they're not willing to give up a lot of guys, and it'll be interesting to see who lets go of who.
Right, because if it's that tough at the top, why are you going to get rid of one of your pieces if you think that you still have what it takes to get into that playoff position? I said last week, and I stand with it, I don't think that the Mariners make the playoffs if they don't win the division. So I think you need to take care of that first.
All right, Dan Wilson has been in the crosshairs of a few critics, more than a few critics all season long. And, when you look ahead at this team, We'll start with Dan. He's in his second full season. Everybody likes Dan from his playing days to everything he's done in the community over the years. Is he a big league manager? Does he even want to be a big league manager? Remember, the Mariners fired Scott Service in August of 2024. I've always felt that Dan jumped in to help the club, but I'm not sure how long, and I'm not sure how long he wants to do this. And with the pressure of a win-now mentality in pro sports, it'll be interesting to see if Dan even wants to be a manager.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that he does. I think that he connects very well with the players, and I expect the fans to eat some crow. The angry mob called for his job in June when the team fell below 500 and played with that piggyback situation, but I think he's learned that won't work and finally has an excuse to not play Rob Refsnyder day in and day out so he can manage the team the way he did last season successfully without any gimmicks, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love the guy. I hope he does stick around, but I think there's just something about it that I don't think it would take much for him to walk away, but we'll see. I mean, he loves this team, he loves this city. So it is time for the Mariners, though, to end the indecision surrounding the pitching staff. It doesn't matter what decisions are made. It's going to rub a couple of guys the wrong way. It's time to get the feelings and put them aside and do what's best for this team. Set a 5-man rotation so those guys can get in a groove in the second half and hopefully take it into the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you and I are in full agreement that there needs to be a 5-man rotation, but I think that it's going to happen by trading Luis Castillo. And then that 5-man rotation flourishes. Everyone's pitching on a regular schedule. Even Brian Wu will finish with a respectable road record in this case. I believe Logan will be the main guy. If they need a game 1 of a playoff series, they're going to turn to Logan. And then I just hope that Matt Brash can get back and return to form.
Yeah, if we've talked about that a lot. If this team just gets healthy, they're going to be fine. Instead of going out and looking for all the help out there from other teams, if this team just gets healthy, I think they are going to be fine. So it's really interesting. But again, I think that the trade pool, the targets out there, it's just not, the depth isn't there like it's been in years past, where there's been great targets. We can throw some money at it, we can throw some players at them, and bring that person to your team. I just don't think it's there this year. It's not. Wilson Contreras is not the guy you're going to throw a bunch of starting pitchers at to swap out with the Cardinals.
No, and you're not getting the 2024 Randy Arozarena or any of those trades. You're not getting a huge name target like that, but I do think that you could probably, again, like Jerry said, you can kind of go buyer to buyer and kind of just fill in a couple little pieces that you need.